welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick from the city of Hampton, and we are ready for beach season. One of the things Hampton has is so many different beaches, access to the water. Can't wait for the official season to start. So here to invite us and tell us about it is the Aquatics Director, Bob Manners, and Buckroe Beach Park Supervisor, Jim Seward. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am ready, but first let's talk about, there have been some big improvements to Buckroe Beach and more coming, which I know people have been talking about a lot on Facebook. So tell us what we've done so far and what the plan is.
It's hard to remember everything that's been done out there, but the one focal thing that has been done is refurbishing the lighthouse.
I've seen pictures, but I haven't actually seen it yet. I need to go out there. It looks amazing.
We have a brand new wall all the way around it. The old wall was getting to be a safety hazard, and it had cracks in it, and so the decision was made to just go ahead and replace it. They did put the old balls from the original lighthouse wall. They were concrete balls, and painted them the original red and put them on the entrance to the lighthouse walkway.
Oh, that's good. The picture I saw didn't have that done yet, so I will look forward to that. And that means a lot to people.
It does.
That lighthouse is the icon, really, of Buckroe Beach. And for residents, it means a lot. For people who ever went to the amusement park, it means a lot. And I think it was almost in danger of collapsing. I mean, you guys had painted it and patched it and things, but this was a renovation that should keep it around for a while.
There's landscaping slated for the inside of the wall. Right now there's just some black mulch in there, but we plan on putting something that's low maintenance, ground cover, flowers, or something like that. Other improvements have been removal. We just got done cleaning up the boardwalk. It gets covered with sand every year.
It sure does.
And all that's been removed, and years of buildup on what I call the grass islands in between the boardwalk and the bike path. Those were scraped flat. And so there's not these big humps that you have to walk over to go get on the boardwalk. Some other landscaping improvements have been done. We're chugging right along, getting ready for Memorial Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Memorial Day is when the lifeguards start on duty.
We start Saturday.
Tell us where and when we will have lifeguards this year.
Well, we're going to have the same 6 lifeguards stands that we had at Buckroe last summer. They'll be in the same places. We'll have 2 lifeguard stands at Fort Monroe, and we're actually adding a stand at Salt Ponds Beach this summer. So we're actually expanding our coverage of where we're guarding.
Yeah, that's nice. And you know, people don't tend to think of the Salt Ponds Beach as a public beach, but it is. You can walk there, you know, you can park. There's kind of limited parking, but people can park there and enjoy the beach, take a stroll, or just it be a much less crowded beach if that is what people are looking for.
Yep.
And just different, the characteristics of, I'm going to say the 4 beaches because I'm going to throw in Grandview, but Buckroe has food trucks and sundries that you can buy if you run out of sunscreen, and jet skis that you can rent, and lovely flush toilets, and that you can hose your feet off, outside, shower off all that sand. I mean, it is the amenity-laden beach, right? Did I miss anything?
I think you covered a lot of it.
And then Fort Monroe, to me, is the perfect little kid beach, because those coves are so shallow, pretty far out, that what are they called, jetties, break the waves up, so little kids aren't going to get knocked over or be afraid of it. It's also a good sunbathing beach. You can sit right there at the water and keep your feet in, read a book. But it does have limited amenities. You've got portas in the parking lot, right? It's got a lot of parking.
Yes, it does.
That's a really strong feature. And you can walk that boardwalk as well year round, really.
You sure can. Yeah, the amenities out there are limited. There are porta potties located occasionally along the boardwalk. So not a whole lot of food options on the
Gotta pack
base.
your own food.
Got to pack your own food. But Phoebus is right there, fairly close. So, but if you're wanting, a fairly quiet beach, family friendly, it's a great place to go.
Okay, then we go to Salt Ponds, which I probably should have done before Fort Monroe. Anyway, Salt Ponds is going to be less crowded. I haven't been there. Tell me more about it.
Salt Ponds is more isolated. It is surrounded by private property. There is limited parking there. I believe there's about 12 or 13 parking spots on the street. We're actually going to have one stand in between. They still have the old wood jetties out there. Those haven't been replaced yet. But the guard stand is going to be right in between the two wood jetties in about the middle of the beach. So we're going to have a limited amount of guarding as far as coverage goes, because we only do have the one stand, but it is an additional presence out there.
And the access points are just kind of between houses there, right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
And will they be marked? We can find them?
There's actually a gate there with a
Okay.
sign with the beach rules, city ordinances, and things like that. So it's advertised.
Ooh, beach rules. Let's talk about beach rules. In the summer, no dogs.
No pets.
No. Oh, see, it didn't occur to me someone would bring anything other than
Snakes,
a dog.
turtles.
Ferrets.
You know all about
Ferrets,
the other
yeah.
kinds of animals from your years at
I've seen people
Bluebird.
walking cats on a leash, and so it's no pets
Okay.
from May 15th to September 15th in the park and on the beaches.
Okay, so that is the whole park, the boardwalk, everything.
Correct.
Okay.
On the park does have 4 lots that we call the B lots on the west side of First Street, and we do allow pets or dogs over there year round.
Okay.
So
All right, other rules. Come on.
there's no grills. We
Yeah.
stopped grilling in the park. It was always a rule, but it wasn't enforced. And we do
Okay.
have park rangers on duty that will be starting Memorial Day weekend, helping us to enforce. It's up to us also to enforce the rules, but no grills unless you rent a shelter, and the shelter has its own grill. And if you need an additional grill, you can bring a grill in for the shelter if
Okay.
you've rented it, but no grilling outside of the shelters at all.
That makes sense.
We don't allow tents or pop-ups or any type of umbrellas or anything in the park. However, on the beach, you can have pop-ups,
And umbrellas.
umbrellas, and I'm not sure what they're called, but it's kind of a new thing. It looks like a half a dome that people
that
put out, mainly for little
shade,
kids.
Yeah.
Right.
But those are allowed on the beach. The main rule on the beach for that, though, is nothing in front of the lifeguard stands so that they can have a clear view of the water,
Okay.
the lifeguards.
You can bring your own picnic and your own non-alcoholic beverages.
As long as it's not in glass.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And not in styrofoam coolers. We don't allow styrofoam coolers.
Boy, that they start to disintegrate. That styrofoam would end up
Yeah.
in the water. I mean, it's not a healthy option for the bay. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think of that, but.
Yeah, styrofoam tends to disintegrate,
Yep.
and it's
And it
it's
doesn't
hard to
disintegrate
clean
all the
up.
way. It just
No.
crumbles into
Crumbles, yeah,
little
and it's really
styrofoam
hard to
pieces
clean up.
that, yeah, hard to clean up and not good for the animals once it gets to the water. What else? What other rules?
No swimming past the swim buoy unless you happen to be, we actually allow long distance swimmers to be just outside the swim buoy area so they're not getting in anybody else's way and nobody's getting in their way.
Oh, that makes sense. Do they just check in with a lifeguard and say?
But we can usually tell who the distance swimmers are. They have they'll wear like a float on their back so we can see who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. And we will actually radio to each other, the guards will, and say, hey, you got a distance swimmer coming into your area. so that they know that they're out beyond the buoys and they're allowed to be out there.
Okay.
And no personal watercraft of any kind inside the buoy area. We do have a launch area where the jet skis are launching, where people can take their paddle boards and their own personal boats out through that launch area, but they have to stay outside the swim area.
Got it.
So
Smoking?
not healthy, but they can if they.
But don't, put your butts out in the sand. Make sure you
right.
bring something, dispose of it. Again, not healthy if it gets into our waterways, not good for the fish.
Yeah, you field strip them and throw them in the trash. We have a number of cigarette butt containers in the park. Not a whole lot, but we do have enough. The restrooms. There's no smoking in any city building, so the restrooms are included in that. So if you're going to go into the restroom, there's a container right outside the two main doors for that.
Okay.
So.
Enough of the rules. Let's do the fun stuff. Food trucks.
We have food vendors starting Memorial Day weekend. They're mainly the biggest amount of them are going to be on Sundays. There's going to be 4 or 5. Saturdays it might be 1 or 2 less, and there's quite a variety. Ice cream vendors, seafood, American food like hamburgers, hot dogs, and we also have beach vendors. We tried to start it last year, but we have 2, possibly 3 vendors that are going to sell. I think you said before, maybe suntan, sunscreen, sunblock, rent chairs, sell T-shirts, caps, things like that you
nice.
normally find at the larger venues. And so they will be starting approximately about the same time. I'm not sure they're going to. It's a legal.
Moving target.
Yeah.
So also this year you have tables so that people who buy food don't have to eat it down in the sand or schlep it to the beach if you're not already there. They can sit at tables.
There's going to be a deck built near the food vendors, and it's going to have tables and chairs on the deck for them to relax and eat, so they don't have to take it down on the beach. And
that's a great idea.
That'll be accessible for Groovin' by the Bay on Sunday nights when we have, from 6 to 9 p.m. every Sunday night from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend. We have a different band.
And that is, I think, the time that Buckroe Beach is the most crowded, because you have the daytime beach people, and then you have folks that come a little bit early for grooving, and there's an overlap at that point. And that is the only time, I think, unless maybe, 4th of July or something, that the parking does fill up. So what is the game plan for grooving?
Groovin' by the Bay, we have a number of overflow lots that are available for parking. They are near the fishing pier. The fishing pier is on the south end of the beach. And there are 2 large grass lots. We're going to have security people to park people out there, so you're not parking willy-nilly and having people block other people in. So that was a good thing that we were able to get. We also have, on Sundays only, a shuttle bus that's going from Jones Magnet Middle School, which is 1819 Nickerson Boulevard, and you can park there and take the shuttle bus to the beach, and they run every 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think y'all did it more often last summer, and it just wasn't used.
It wasn't used as much on Saturdays.
People want to park as close as they can. You also have a new drop-off area. So if I've got, a cooler and some chairs and umbrella, I can drop it with one of my passengers and then go park, right?
Correct. That's on Buckroe Avenue, the new drop-off spaces. You can still drop off in the circle, but we prefer if you're going to take 15 minutes, pull into the space and then unload your stuff and go from there. Also want to mention about the Moby mats.
Oh, please do.
We started that, I think they were last year, but they're handicap accessible mats that run from our 2 ramp areas. We have ramps for vehicles to get onto the beach, and they can run right down to the water. It's just a mat that goes, in a straight line down to the water. We also have Moby chairs, which is like a water wheelchair. And you can get them, if you need one, just ask any lifeguard. And we have one in our compound. The lifeguards have 3 more in their compound. And we'll go and fetch it. Now, you do have to have somebody, the person that wants to use the chair has to have somebody with them. We don't go out with them.
But I saw a video last year. There were 2 kids with terminal illnesses who Hampton kind of sponsored because they were NASA fans, and they had this great 3 or 4 days in Hampton. And that was the first time ever they'd been in the water, in any kind, not a pool. So they had so much fun. I mean, that's something that is very hard to duplicate, and it's a real asset for people. They should be able to enjoy the beach too if they're in a wheelchair.
The first person I saw use one, they were just, they may have never been in the water before either, but they were just tickled to death to be, and looking all around. Oh, this is great, So
yeah, I bet it's a little scary at first, and then you kind of relax. But
I'm sure you can't. If it's really rough out, that's not a good time to do it. So.
No, that'd be too much. Okay, and you have some other special events this summer. We don't have to give all the dates, but you've got a sand soccer tournament. What else did?
The Life's a Beach triathlon. Both of those are in June.
And that's a fun triathlon for people who may or may not really be athletes.
Not the hardcore people.
Yeah, not doing the hardcore.
They're not dedicated to coming in first place.
Right. They're dedicated to having fun.
Having fun. And then the, I call it an Ironman triathlon, but it's that one is in July. And then we have an Arts and Crafts Festival in September. So there's events going on all summer long.
The farmers market.
Farmers market has already started on May 4th was the first day, and that runs every Saturday. There are a couple of blocked out days. It's actually
because you're using
because of the sand soccer and the triathlon.
Right.
But it'll run every Saturday, and there's a couple of themed markets. There's a pet market after September 15th. So that runs all the way to November.
And those hours are early enough.
From 9 to 1.
Early enough that you tend not to have problems parking. I could always park very nearby, which is good if you're buying, a lot of produce. But certainly, even though it's called a farmer's market, there's a lot there that isn't produce. There's baked goods and jams and jellies, and I think, are they going to have meats and seafood this year? They had.
I think the plan is
they had a lot more time to get ready this year.
They had a new vendor out there that was selling fresh chicken eggs, and they had a couple of chickens on display. So that was a nice draw.
Yeah.
To get people to come over there. The first weekend, I was told by the organizer that it was the biggest week. The first week this year was bigger than any week last year, because they sold every bit of their produce.
That is great.
He sold out. All they had to load in his truck was his baskets.
I loved it. I went almost every Saturday last year, bought a lot of stuff, kind of planned ahead to get my produce there, and then I was tempted by other things like jewelry and things like that, but it was a great time. All right, is there anything else? Oh, we did all the beaches, and you know what I skipped? I skipped Grandview. That is the most remote, the most rustic. You got to hike a little bit, like almost about a half a mile to get in, and then that's not the pretty part. You have to go down a little bit more. Again, no portos, but a beautiful beach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And please remember, the dog rule too applies out there. There's no dogs allowed from May 15th to September 15th.
And please pick up your trash before you leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pack out what you pack in.
Yep.
But that's a really nice beach.
Nice and secluded.
Yeah, and I do recommend that people get there fairly early, because the parking, again, tends to fill up there. Or go late, go in the afternoon.
There's a lot of waterfowl and shorebirds that hang out there too.
Oh,
it's pretty
beautiful. Absolutely. Okay, anything else we need to talk about before we close? All
Can't
right.
think of anything.
We're done then. Thank you so much for watching, and do enjoy the beaches this summer. It is fabulous not to have to wait in that bridge tunnel traffic and interstate traffic to try to go over to the big beach on the ocean. Enjoy the bay beaches right here at home. Thanks for watching.